All right, moving south now to Jacksonville. Maybe one of the final two times we see this game played in Jacksonville, I might add. The Florida Gators take on the Georgia Bulldogs. The Gators have been dominant in the series at times. They won 11-12 when Steve Spurrier was there. It's been a little bit more competitive since Steve Spurrier has been away, but they've still won 11-20 since then, but Georgia's won 4 of the last 5. So this has been a fairly competitive rivalry for quite some time. We've seen both these teams obviously represent the East in the last handful of years. So even when it feels like one program's down and the other one's way up, it doesn't seem to stay like that for very long. Let's look a little bit at some of the numbers here, okay? Georgia, this is shocking to me. You might not be that surprised when you think about what they're doing defensively. They're 4th in the country in allowing yardage defensively. They're giving up under 250 a game, 247 to be exact. That probably doesn't surprise you. Best in the SEC, 4th best in college football. What might surprise you is they've actually been better on the offensive side of the football. They are 2nd in the country in total offense with 527 yards per game. That surprised me. I'm going to be completely honest. I was shocked when I found out that information. 2nd best offense in college football. So you have a number 2 offense, number 4 defense. Pretty good place to start. Guess who's number 1, by the way? I already talked about him. It's Tennessee. Okay, 527 yards of offense as well. So these are the 2 teams that rank the highest right now when it comes to yards per game. You're probably wondering, where's Ohio State? Well, maybe if Ohio State didn't start on Iowa's 20 every series last week, maybe they'd actually be in the mix. But obviously, that number took a bit of a hit because they won starting field position last week so handily against the Hawkeyes. All right, so that was a shocking stat when I was looking into it. The other thing that was shocking is Brock Bowers has not found the end zone in 4 consecutive games through the year. That's the longest streak of his career. He had only 1 catch in last year's game against Florida, too. That was his fewest in 21 career games where he ran at least 10 routes. So if you look at where Brock Bowers has been the last couple of weeks and where he was last year against Florida, I know it's a different regime, it's a different staff, but either way, I mean, Florida's defense wasn't great last year at all. Not great this year either. But Brock Bowers was locked down last year for whatever reason. So expect them to get involved early. And hopefully he finds pay dirt for the first time in quite a while. Hey, no pressure, Billy Napier. Like no pressure whatsoever. You're a 3+ touchdown dog against your bitter rival. And to make it even worse and to add even more pressure, do you realize that 5 of the last 7 Florida coaches won their debut against Georgia? 5 of the last 7. All right. Steve Spurrier did. Ron Zook did. Urban Meyer did. Galen Hall did. Jim McElwain did. The 2 that did not, Will Muschamp and Dan Mullen. Of course, both met an early demise. So no pressure. 5 of the last 7 have gotten it done against the Bulldogs in their debut in the cocktail party. So no pressure, Billy. I would imagine they spent some time on this in the offseason. I would imagine that his staff probably circled this one and said, hey, guys, we got to figure out the Georgia defense. Like this needs to be an all-points bulletin plan for us. It better be our best plan of the year. It better be our best performance of the year because we're going to need it. What's the pathway to an upset? The biggest thing for Florida, I think, in this game, you got to be great on 3rd down. Because so far up to this point, they've been one of the worst teams in college football defensively on 3rd down. They're allowing 53% conversion in 3rd down. That's the worst, second worst, in the Power 5. Well, in the FBS, if you want to take it one step further, Colorado's the only one that's worse. You know how bad Colorado is? Exactly. All right. Georgia, conversely, one of the best teams in America in converting their 3rd downs. They convert an SEC high 52% of their 3rd downs. That's 9th in college football. So you got one of the worst teams in college football in Florida against one of the best teams in college football in Georgia on 3rd down. When the defense for Florida's on, when the offense for Georgia's on. That Florida defense has to get off the field in critical down and distance. And then secondly, this is for Florida's offense. They got to create big plays. They absolutely have to create big plays. And this goes true all the time going against the Georgia Bulldogs. Man, if you just want to snap it 10, 11, 12 times, just ram your head against the wall against a defense like this, fine, go for it. You snap it 11 or 12 times, guess what? One of those 11 or 12, or two of those 11 or 12, their defense is just going to be better than you because they have better players than you. So how do you neutralize that talent advantage? By creating chunk yardage plays. That's the only way that you can do it. So Florida's got to be really, really good in creating big plays. The good news is their quarterback, Anthony Richardson, he's a big play waiting to happen at any given point. We know what he can do with his legs. The guy's got 3 career carries that have gone for over 75 yards. He might need to have one here. Just a couple weeks ago, though, he had an 81-yarder in the first play of the fourth quarter against LSU, and that defense clearly at LSU is not that bad. All right, we've seen him do it before. He's got to play his best game in a Gator uniform. Justin Shorter is the other guy that you need to keep an eye on if you're the Georgia defense, because he's a guy that can create big plays. He's second in the FBS, averaging 22.5 yards per reception this year. All right, he's also gained 20-plus yards on 7 of his 18 catches. So while he's not very fast, he is big. Big body at 6'5". He's going to catch some of those 50-50 balls down the field. You can't let him get behind you, and you can't let him get into one-on-ones. If you look at Georgia, they've been excellent as far as giving up big plays this year. They allow less than 9 yards per catch and have allowed just 13 plays that have gone for 20-plus yards this year. That's tied for the second fewest in the FBS. So this is something that Georgia excels in, but Florida's going to have to create some big plays if they want to stay in this game. I think it's going to be a tough one for Florida to keep up. I think Georgia wins this game comfortably and sets up what should be an incredible game next week against Tennessee.